I'm here with Cass Reinhardt. Reinhardt.
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't you tell us a little about yourself? I know you just dropped a new song, "Blame Me," right?
Yes. Yes. A little bit about me, I guess. I'm from Westchester, PA.
Hmm.
That's like outside of Philadelphia.
Okay.
Go Birds. We just
I
won the
was gonna
Super
say,
Bowl.
yeah.
Yeah, that was insane. It was so great. But anyway, I have been writing songs probably since elementary school. I was in a girl band with me and my best friend, and we would write songs about how much we loved each other and how much we loved being best friends. Um, I took piano lessons growing up. In middle school, I taught myself the guitar, and by high school, I was just writing my own music. And now, like, fast forward, I guess, many years later, I'm in New York City and I'm a songwriter, a producer, an artist. And that's kind of what I'm going for here. And yeah, I just released a song called Blame Me a few weeks ago, and I'm releasing an EP on March 7th.
Oh,
Um,
that's dope. That's dope. What's it? Is there a title for with the
it's
EP
called
or?
it's called
Uh,
Blame Me.
oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. And you also just performed, right? On like Saturday, correct?
Yeah,
In
I
Brooklyn.
had a little show at Brooklyn Music Kitchen in
Okay,
Brooklyn.
nice,
Yeah.
nice. Do you like ever get nervous performing in front of people, or is it as it you've just kind of gotten used to it over the years?
Always. It
Always got nervous?
I always get nervous. But I think once I'm up there, it goes away. I don't know what happens, but like whenever I go on stage, I kind of black out and I just like I don't know, I just kind of do it and then
You
it's
get in the flow.
over.
You get in the
Yeah, I
flow of
get in a
it.
flow. It also depends like on the type of show that you're doing. Like if you're playing with a band, if you're just by yourself, if you're expecting a big audience, that's gonna bring on different levels of nerves. But um, nerves are also excitement too,
Hmm.
so it's good to have adrenaline
Do you ever
before.
like do something right before the show to like I don't know, like a little ritual or something, like a specific meal or like anything kind of like or just kind of whatever happens happens?
Um, Water. Just
Water.
drink a lot of water.
You never
No,
have
I
like a
don't.
drink or two on before you sing?
No.
No.
That makes me more nervous. I drink after I perform.
Oh,
I
okay.
wait, like I celebrate after because I don't know, knowing me. I also like you don't want to eat something or drink something that just doesn't make you feel well, or like you have like acid reflux or something and you're like performing, like I know that water is like the number one thing that always makes me feel good and puts me in a good spot. So I usually just try to breathe and drink water and sit down.
Yeah, yeah,
Nothing
managing those nerves in
crazy.
front of that many people must be like pretty crazy. I personally have never done anything like that, and like to me it seems like very like social challenge level 10 to just go in front of a bunch of strangers and like
Yeah.
do something like singing. It's very admirable, honestly, because
Thank
I feel
you.
like you're the center of attention, right? Like at that moment, like the spotlight's on you and everyone's just like looking at you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's stressful, but I mean, you're also kind of doing a similar thing, I mean, you don't see a whole bunch of people, but a lot of people can watch you talking online.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
That's true. I
that's
don't
kind
get
of
that
bad.
nervous. I don't really
Yeah.
care. It's not a big deal. But anyway, so you said you started a little like a little group with your friend when in the beginning, right? When you were young.
Oh yeah, we were like like 6 or 7 years old, and we wrote songs. Like we put out an album. We didn't put out an album, but we wrote an album. Like it's like we would just like write on pieces of paper like lyrics and then just sing the songs for our parents.
Oh wow, that's really nice.
They
I haven't
loved
heard
it.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that sounds really sweet. It sounds really wholesome. Yeah.
Yeah, my
No.
friend Lucy Merrill, she sent me the other day, and I haven't heard these songs in years, and she sent me a video, like one of those like old like videotape videos of us singing together when we were little, and we had like these microphones. It was the cutest thing ever.
Yeah, you guys started reminiscing. Did you guys watch like Hannah Montana or anything like that?
Um,
Any of those
I
like
did. I don't
singer
know if it
type?
was the same time period, but
Wait, how old are you if you don't mind me asking?
I turned 25 in October,
Oh,
so
okay, okay.
I'm 25.
Did you yeah. Did you know you wanted to like kind of move to New York City and do that like right out of high school to kind of sing and produce and kind of pursue this kind of thing?
No, it's actually kind of a journey that I had. But
All
like
right.
I've always been connected to music. Loved writing songs, but I did it more as like a therapy for myself. Like if I went through something or like a guy made me upset, I'm like, I'm just gonna write a song about you and that's gonna make me feel better, move on. And so that's what I did like growing up, like when things made me upset or something like resonated with me, I would write a song about it. Um, so when I graduated high school, I'm like, do I go to college? Do I try to like pursue music? I was the only person that I knew that was like writing songs
Hmm.
in high school. Um, like I didn't understand what producing was or how to even get in touch with a producer. Like I wasn't in the music scene at all. I just knew I liked to write music. So, and I didn't know how to get those connections. So I went to undergrad at University of Delaware and I studied communications and joined a sorority and then continued to write music for fun and then taught myself how to produce and I met my friend Nate
Hmm.
at a frat party and he was like, "Oh, you like I heard that you've been trying to produce music." And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm part of like this trio. You should meet my friend Jack. He can help like mix and master your songs." And I was like, "What is mixing and what is mastering? I don't understand what that is, but
What is
okay."
that actually? What
So
is like,
mixing and mastering is like producing is like you're using like Logic or Ableton, some people FL Studios, and you're like putting all the sounds together, like layering them, like you're producing the song basically. You're
okay.
making like building the instruments and the vocals and everything. And then the mixing engineer is someone who kind of like balances out the sounds. So like and like pans them in different directions. So it just makes like it super clean and clear and like brings out certain parts that maybe you wouldn't have thought to. And then mastering is basically making everything louder and cleaner and cleaning it up so it's like radio ready.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Like
Did you
if you're
learn a lot of that from your friends?
a little bit, I didn't really understand what they were doing at first. And I still wouldn't consider myself like I learned mixing and mastering. Um, but I'm more of a songwriter and a producer at this point. So I did learn from them, but I usually like to rely on somebody else to do that for me because it's a lot.
I was
But
gonna say it sounds pretty overwhelming. I
but
don't know.
there are people who do it all, and I have friends who do it all, and it's definitely possible. But
You know, I lived in New York City for a bit, and when I was working as a waiter there, it felt like, no, I didn't just feel like everyone I worked with was like there to like chase like a dancing career, like an acting career, or like singing. Is that kind of still the case? Like, is your friend group are all kind of like trying to pursue this goal they have and trying to kind of make these connections, or do you have friends like in the city that are like a finance, I don't know, like normal. I don't know how to say it. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I know what you mean. So well, when I graduated Delaware, I graduated with communications, like as my major. Then I applied to a master's program for songwriting and producing. Like after at Berklee School of Music, it's based in Boston, but they have one in New York City.
mm-hmm.
So I took a 360 after graduating, and I decided to just full force like go into music. So when I moved to New York, I didn't really know anybody besides the people that I was going to school with. So I went to like everyone in my school was a musician basically when I moved to New York City. So I moved to New York City to go to Berkeley NYC, and all of my friends that I made were all like songwriters and producers and artists. So everyone's kind of pursuing like the same thing. So my friend group is different than like a normal like a normal New York City friend group. It's like they're all artists for the most part, which is really cool. And
Yeah, I was
then
gonna say that that's really nice because I feel like you're almost like kind of part of a team, right? Like, let's say your friend gets like a show or kind of gets like a win, it's like almost like fuel to your fire, and you can be genuinely happy because you guys are going for like the same things at the same time, and or even when like sometimes disappointment kind of hits, it must be nice to like kind of have someone that you know can relate to what you're trying to do.
yeah, I'm super lucky for that because I mean, it's like rare as an artist to like just be put in a group of people and like get along with everyone and everyone's doing the same thing. Because there's some artists who move to New York and they're the only ones here and they have to build an entire network from scratch. I was lucky to like kind of be put into a group of people that ended up being my network for music. So that's pretty great.
Yeah, that must be nice. Are you still at Berkeley?
No, I graduated. So
Oh,
I
you graduated?
graduated in June 2024.
Okay, cool, cool. So what was like the next step after that? Did you kind of like, you know, get like a producing job during the day and then do this at night, or was it kind of like, okay, now it's like crunch time, like now I need to like pedal to the metal? What was that
Yeah.
like?
Graduating was it was it was really hard. It was a really hard time for me like after graduation because you're used to being in this routine where your literal job for the year is just making music and producing and writing and working with other people who are doing the same thing. And like unless you're signed to a label or like you're already like up here in music, it's not realistic to just be able to go into it full force like in the real world. Like you need a lot of people and a lot of my friends had to pick up other jobs. So like for a while I was looking for jobs and I didn't know what type of job I wanted because I knew that I wanted to release music and write music and produce music and put that out into the world and have shows, but that is like just doing that isn't going to provide for yourself. So, especially in the beginning stages of music, like it takes a while to like see the results and like to get where you need to be. So, when you're first starting out as an artist, it's super hard because you're kind of faced with this like crisis of what am I doing? Like, do I get a full-time job? I was applying to like administrative jobs. And I'm like, well, maybe I can work a 9 to 5 and then just fit in my music. I have friends who are doing that right now. I have some friends who are working in like sample, like doing like sample packs for like BandLab or Splice. Um, and then I have some other friends who are like maybe teaching music. And for me, I'm like, I just want to be an artist and a producer and a songwriter. So I need to keep doing this and then just have a side hustle. So right now I work in retail and I also teach at a school. So, and then I fit in my music when I can, like have to book gigs and release all my music and all that stuff. So it's not easy, for sure. Like it wasn't like I graduated and then I'm just offered this position and it's like easy. Like you gotta fight for it, you know?
100%. I can definitely see that because I knew someone that actually had like kind of I guess liberal arts kind of degree, and you know they were a creative person, but it was very and they wanted to live in New York City and get into the fashion scene, but it was like right after graduation, it was like there was no map to kind of get there. And as like, in music and stuff or something like that, getting connections was almost everything. And so there's almost like this limbo you're in right after you graduate where you want to go all in into what you want to do, but it's almost like, well, where do I start? And while I'm figuring out where to start, how do I pay my bills?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I feel like that is always the, I guess, for me, admirable part of this kind of goal what people chase, because it's very not guaranteed. There's a lot of hurdles, and it's natural to have self doubt in something that like is hard. And on top of that, you have like this. There's no real map because school, in my opinion, like when I graduated, I feel like school. It wasn't that it was easy, but it was structured. Do X amount of hours of studying, and you get this grade. And you kind of know if you do it, you're guaranteed at least a certain result. But in the real world, it doesn't work like that. I remember like I've been working in restaurants my entire life. When I moved to the city, I applied to like 200 restaurants, and I got like
Oh my
three
God.
interviews.
On LinkedIn.
No, I'm like everywhere, like Indeed,
Indeed, LinkedIn.
ZipRecruiter,
Yeah.
all those places, and like I only got three interviews, and
Yeah, they ghost you.
I
It's
know,
crazy. I've been there.
and and you're just begging to like work for like no money, living. I was living in like when I lived in Manhattan, I lived like near Dykeman, and it was not a safe, nice
Wait, where is
place.
that?
I lived on 207th in Inwood, like right next to Dykeman.
Where is Dykeman?
Like I want to. All right, I might sound stupid. I think it's on 203rd because I used to pass it. It's around
203rd
there.
Street?
Yeah, yeah. I lived
Oh,
like
so like
way,
past
way up.
Harlem.
No, I lived in like not a nice place. Like it was because I don't have any. I was living off scholarship money, and
Hmm.
I was working, but I was making no money. So it
Yeah.
was like, I mean, I was just finishing, and I was just finishing school. Like if I wanted to pursue like I guess something like more, I guess risky, it would have been very, very hard because I almost feel like you have to be able to kind of take the hits. You know what I mean? Because the hits are going to come. The hits, it's not like you're going to avoid them, but you have to like, be able to, in my opinion, smile. Like I remember I got off work one time at like midnight, and like, oh my god, and I had sat next to this like homeless guy on the subway, like he was spazzing, and I get off the train, and I get off the subway, and I'm just like, I'm literally just laughing the whole way walking home. I'm like, this is so
Mhm.
funny, because people like idolize living in the city. Well, some people idolize living in the city, and I'm like, this is not that fun.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the subway is part of the city, but that's definitely not what people love about the city. It's like what everyone hates about the city, including
Yeah,
myself. Like I have to take the subway like an hour to go to work to like my retail job, and then I take the bus to go and teach children. And the public transportation isn't glamorous. It's scary sometimes. A
yeah,
lot
it
of
is
the time. You
scary. It
never
is
know what you're gonna
scary.
get. You never know what you're gonna get like on a normal subway ride. It could be chill, like you're reading a book. I started bringing books. Um,
You can read with that many people, like, around you, really? Okay.
Even if you're pretending to read, it's like, and it also makes you, at least like what I think is it makes me less like targetable. Like it's like this
Yeah.
person looks smart and like they're really into something, so I'm not gonna try to talk to them.
I'm
Like
not gonna
even
try
if
to.
I'm like not even reading. But
Have you
yeah,
had people try to talk to you like without the book?
yeah, like
What do they say?
every day sometimes. You never know. Like the subways right now are not doing so great.
Yeah, yeah. I
It's a
never
scary
really had
time.
anyone like, I guess in a sense, try me or whatever. Like it was literally just the kids that were selling candy, the Hispanic moms that were selling candy. It's so
Yeah,
funny
well
too
that's
because
like I love that. I
no,
love
I do too.
experiences
I do too.
compared
Like,
to what other things like happen. Like I was on my way to work. It was like 10 in the morning, and this guy like going into Manhattan, like it's like a Monday, and this guy was like hammered, rolls onto the train, like almost falls on top of me. and I was listening to music, which isn't smart. Like, you should have not have the noise canceling on, and I think I
Noise
did at that
canceling
moment.
feature on.
So, like, this guy's just staring at me and like talking, and I like took it out. I was like, yes. He's like, I'm sorry. Like, he said I'm sorry, but I couldn't even tell what he was saying because he was slurring. Then but he
He
was
was
basically
scolding.
like saying sorry for like basically almost tackling me like when he was trying to sit down. And then I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna wait until the next station to transfer to a different train car because he was already making me feel uncomfortable. But the train's moving, you can't get off the train, and I didn't want to like stand up and move somewhere else on the train because you never know if that's gonna make somebody upset or like make him feel the wrong way. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get through this until the next station. Then out of nowhere, he started screaming. And I'm sitting directly next to this man, grabs a beer bottle out of his bag, cracks it open. Like there's beer on me. There's like beer spurting everywhere. I'm like, that was like I'm up and out. And then next train car, I just ran off but he was continuously like screaming and like,
He's like, I'm sorry.
yeah. So like, end of the story. No, I don't like the subway. Like it's awful.
Yeah,
Sometimes
you do never know what you're gonna get.
you never know.
I remember I was working out at the gym near my place, and like there was like I was watching the TV, and it was like, oh, there was like a stabbing or a shooting, and like someone died, and I'm like, I know that place, and I'm like, yo, that is right next to where I am.
Yeah,
And then I
it's
look outside,
scary.
I can see the like ambulances and the people reporting like right next to my gym, and
Like,
I'm
yeah.
just like, oh my. And kids walk there at night though. Kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm like, bro. I'm like kind of scared. I mean, I don't know. I mean, more respect to them, but like, anyway, I'm getting
New
off
York
topic. Back
City.
to you and your
It's fine.
and your friend after. I mean, you and right after graduating. So you got a
Mhm.
job in retail, and so
Yeah.
what does your day to day kind of look like then? So when do you kind of fit in those kind of songwriting? So is it like 11 to 4, and then you get home and you're just writing?
It's kind of sporadic. Like, when I first like graduated and um, I wasn't working right away. So I had the time, like I was writing like maybe like a song, maybe two songs a week, like producing them. I was setting up like meetings with my producer friends and having sessions with them. And it was like, yeah, I'm doing this, but also I'm like, I need a job. I need a job now. And then I slowly started getting jobs. Like my friend heard about this place. I had an interview and they hired me for like just like a retail job. And then I got a job at a school and then I got another retail job working like two retail jobs and teaching twice a week. So I went from having like a lot of time and making a lot of music to not having as much time
Mm-hmm.
anymore. Luckily now I only work one retail job and do the teaching. So it just depends like if I have a random day off, if I'm not scheduled, or most Saturdays like I have off, which is nice if I'm in the mood for writing a song. Um, but right now, like my main focus has been on like putting out the music that I made over the last year. So I have a lot of songs that are basically done, and I have my EP which is finished. So like I need to focus more on like releasing that and like promoting it and that type of stuff. Like once you finish a production, you can also get the mix and master from like a mastering engineer and a mixing engineer. So when I first started my jobs and I was like really busy, I didn't have as much time to like write songs and plan gigs and everything. But because my jobs are like more chill, like I could send files and like talk to the mixing engineer while I'm at work or like work on my album art while I'm at work. And
Do you draw them yourself at your album art?
so
Sorry, I didn't
my
mean to interrupt.
cousin actually made the Blame Me cover.
Oh,
The other album art I made, and then the album art that I'm releasing with my EP, um, this girl named Maddie. She's from FIT and she has this brand called the Public Aura. She took all these pictures for me and like my brand. So one of the pictures that she took, I ended up like editing it and I'm using that as my album art. So sometimes I make my own album art, sometimes um most of my visualizers I make for like Spotify.
Mhm.
Um or like my cousin made, like I said, my cousin made my last album art, but that's all things that I can do while I'm at work. So like the artsy stuff and like playlist pitching and talking to like my mixing engineer and mastering engineer, like I can do all that at work sometimes. So I've been trying to like multitask.
That's really good. I feel like you're. I mean, it sounds like no matter what kind of area you're attacking and what you're doing, you're taking steps like forward. Because the thing is, like, I always hear people say like, "Well, I want to do X and I want to do Y, whatever the goal may be," and it's like they say that, but then like it's hard to take these little steps, when you're like busy at work and you have a minute and stuff like that. But I mean, as you can, like you just said it, you're kind of taking you're doing what you can do when you have the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's like it's not that it's more rare than like I think it was more rare than I thought it was because the more I meet people, it's like they want it, but it's hard to get started, like you said. But it's even harder to find those little things to do. It's almost like you kind of gotta figure those things out yourself, like how to push yourself more. Like everyone wants to work hard, but like almost figuring out finding the work to do. You know what I mean? Like drawing the album art, kind of making those connections to have people help you out in the ways they can, and learning from people that may know something that you don't. And it, I don't know. I think that's a skill in itself to kind of find, like, kind of be innovative, I guess. In the whole, especially in the music space, I feel like.
Yeah, you gotta be. Or yeah, there's some people who have like managers or people who like are their designated like visual people and like people find the people that they can trust to do that. But when you're starting out, like you're not always going to have the funds or like have the connections of knowing someone to do that for you. So there's a lot of artists that like end up doing most of it like for themselves, which like I have to do sometimes with like the visual stuff. Um, but you just got to make it work. Got to make it work. It's an
What are
important.
does your family kind of support this kind of path you're taking? Are they pretty supportive?
They've always been really supportive. Like even when in my undergrad, my mom like really wanted me to go to a music school or was like trying to push me to like kind of pursue that. And I always have been more like realistic like growing up. Like I was just like I don't know. I was like I don't think I'm ready. I don't know. So, it was funny cuz like growing up it was like actually my parents who were more almost like more passionate about my dream than I was cuz I didn't believe in it as much as I should have. And then once I graduated college and I was just like, this isn't like what I want to be doing. I don't want to be working at a desk job. Like, this is what I felt like I almost didn't have a choice. And like, I would regret it for the rest of my life if I didn't figure out how to put out my music and go for it.
To try.
So yeah, so I felt like I really didn't have a choice. And like when I told my parents that and I got into like music school and they were like my number one supporters 100%. Like and I'm still like really lucky to have their support. My mom like will come up and drive from PA to see me play when she can and even my dad, like, he checks my Spotify listeners like every single day. He's like, "Oh, it went up again." And yeah, I'm really lucky to have their support, which
Yeah,
is rare,
that
as an
sounds.
artist. There's obviously things that like they don't understand because like my parents aren't musicians. Um, and my dad is like, like he's in like business and um he has a construction company with my uncle, and like they're very like business oriented and minded. So I'm like more like I'm a creative, and they don't understand like all of what I do, because
It's like a
they're
free
not
spirited
as
kind of
creative.
thing, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of guys are not as, I would say, free spirited. It's just kind of like a male thing. Like for, at least for me, like I know in my family, like I think there's only one person that can really is like, I guess, artsy, I guess. Like my cousin actually used to sketch, and I have like 50 cousins, and only
Oh
one,
wow.
and like half of them are guys, but only one of
First
them was
cousins?
like, yeah. So my mom's one of 8, and
Oh
then
wow.
my dad's one of like, I want to say 5. Um,
Okay.
and all of my aunts and uncles had like 4 kids each. So literally, maybe not 50, but like legit. Like I have a lot of cousins, and across all those cousins, like, we only had one that kind of liked sketching and drew in his free time, and now he's a tattoo artist and he's trying to get that kind of thing going. But for a long time, I think he had the same type of thing where he didn't really believe that he could kind of monetize or make this kind of what he does full time, and it held him back for a while. I mean, luckily it's not holding him back now, but and I'm sorry to say he didn't get as much support as as some people do, but
That's common for artists,
yeah.
especially coming from families that aren't artists. Like they just don't get it, and it's like a common thing. I was lucky.
I hope I get it if I have a kid. I don't know. I'll try. I'd try my best. I'd be like, like because it's just like well, in my opinion, I'm very interested in people that are taking different paths. Like for me, it's just about kind of someone young trying to start something and trying to get things going, because I think a lot of things are hard. I think medical school's hard, law school is probably hard. All those things are hard, but what I really like is like people who, like you said, like I felt like I had no choice. I felt like if I didn't do it, I would regret it for the rest of my life. I think that that's something that a lot of people feel, and sometimes they don't take that signal of like, oh, I'd regret this if I don't do it. They'll still pick the safer path. I mean, I'm going to a physician assistant school, but before that, I was considering medical school, and like I read up a lot of stories online of people who were 18, went right into medical school at like 22, 23 years old, and by the time they were 30, they realized like, I hate this. I met a doctor actually who like he was like, he was young, he was probably making like 95 to 105 an hour, working at an urgent care. He did hated being a doctor. I could see it. He didn't like looking at patients. He didn't like writing his notes, and I could just tell like this isn't really what he wanted to do with his life. And
Hmm.
I mean, maybe the money, maybe, but like, I don't know. I don't. I'd rather talk to people that kind of took the swing and I guess took the risk, because I mean, to me, it's brave. Like, next week I'm talking to a fighter, and I'm like, well, that's like a whole different thing. But
Oh, a
like,
fighter?
yeah, like a
How about-
kickboxer.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's so crazy. Those guys are insane. Those guys are insane. But like, these people that are trying to start things, I'm just like, wow, that's really hard, bro. It's
Yeah,
interesting to me.
fighting. You're not gonna catch me doing that, but
You're not.
that's brave. Like you're
I
putting your
know.
physical body through hell.
You're not a big UFC fan.
Ah, I don't know.
It's
It's scary
barbaric.
to me. I've seen like a few fights. I saw the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson one,
Nah, that's not
and
real.
that made me really sad.
Yeah,
It
it's just
made me
like a
like
senior elder. That's like elder abuse.
That's how I felt.
That's
And there's some
literally like
people who are
elder
like, ah,
abuse.
no, he signed up for it. He got a lot of money from it. But like for me, I'm like, why don't you just pick somebody who's like your own age and in shape? It's like it was so sad. It was so sad
Elder
for me to
abuse.
see.
It came out that he had Parkinson's too. Like he has
No.
Parkinson's. Yeah, he has Parkinson's. Like I think that's why they had to postpone the fight because he just like was hospitalized in like the summer, and then they had to move it to December.
I had no idea about that. Now I feel like worse about it. Yeah, poor Mike
No,
Tyson.
I watched the fight and I was just like, I don't know. I mean, not like I could tell something was wrong, but I'm like, okay, most people. I mean, I assume. I watched
He
a
was
lot of like,
injured like the
yeah,
entire time, and I was like, this just doesn't feel ethical to me.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
And that was the same fight. Was that the same fight where the two girls went against each other
I think so.
that were
I
like
think that was an
national
earlier
champions or
fight.
something? Where the
I think
one's
so.
eyelid like came off, basically.
Yeah, I believe there was like like a big female undercard. Like she was
That
like pretty.
was like that was the best fight of the night. Like the last one, I was just like, what did I even see?
I know.
I didn't like
I
seeing
felt
the girl.
bad.
Yeah, I didn't like
Yeah,
seeing the girls like get hurt either, but like it was crazy to see how invested both of them were in beating each other up. It was like I've never seen anything like that before. It was crazy.
I think it's pretty primal. Like, I mean, nah, I've been all right. I was gonna say I box, but it's been like 6 weeks. But anyway, like I've seen
Six
people
weeks since
spar
you
though.
boxed?
I've no since I started. Since I started.
Oh, since you've
Yeah.
started.
No, since I started. Like, but anyway, I've seen people spar. I've seen is what I'm gonna say. I've seen people spar and like, it gets kind of like, not like they want to hurt each other. Just like I feel like it gets really serious really quickly. Like, and not in like a combative way. More in like, well, obviously in a combative way, but like more in like, I feel like they just lock in pretty quickly because, I mean, nothing wakes you up like getting punched in the face. I think.
Yeah. I don't think I would enjoy that, but to each their own, you know.
Yeah. You're a football fan though, right?
I am a football fan.
Did you go see this? Did you go see the Super Bowl?
I did.
In at like you were at the Super Bowl?
I was there.
Oh shit! Oh, that's dope. Okay.
It was
Yeah.
great. It was it was like the best day ever.
It was.
It was great until my
Are you?
phone got stolen later in the night. That sucked.
Did you get
But up until
pickpocketed?
I did on Bourbon Street.
You got pickpocketed?
I got pickpocketed on Bourbon Street after
Oh
they
my
won
god.
though. So like honestly, I went back to my hotel that night and I had like an extra phone that I brought. Like long story short, like I got like a new phone and then when TikTok got banned, um I deleted the TikTok app. So, did you hear that thing about how you like can't re-download it?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
So, I couldn't watch TikTok anymore and then the entire world could. Like so everybody had TikTok except me, it felt like. But I had my old phone that still had TikTok on it, so I it was my TikTok
You were
phone
using your old phone just for the TikTok?
for TikToks to help. I like watching TikToks before I go to bed. So I brought my TikTok phone to Louisiana with me. So when my phone got stolen, I like activated my TikTok phone and made it my real phone. So that's what I have now. But crazy, crazy.
Well,
But
that's
honestly, the Eagles won, and that didn't like
Taylor
ruin my
Swift got
time at
booed.
all. She did
Taylor
get
Swift
booed.
got she got booed. Are you a Taylor Swift fan?
I do like Taylor Swift.
Did you boo?
I don't know. I don't know.
You don't know if you booed or not? You don't remember? That was like last week.
But I will explain like what was going on during that time. It was like Phillies. It was like pro. It was majority like Eagles fans that were there, and even if it wasn't, like they were the loudest. Philly fans are crazy. Um, we've always been crazy. Like they have to grease the poles in Philadelphia. Like that's how crazy we are. Like
Doesn't the city
don't
get
mind
destroyed
them.
every time the Eagles win?
Huh?
Doesn't the city get like wrecked every time the Eagles win?
Yes. Yes.
Why
It's
are you proud of that? You're like, yes.
because that's how I grew up. Like I went to these games. My
Vandalism.
dad is one of the people who is starting the chants and screaming, and it's really fun. But basically, like what was going on, like in the beginning, the Eagles fans were so loud that every time, like the jumbotron was showing like the different fans in the stadium. So every time it
Mhm.
showed the Eagles fans, everyone would cheer really loud. And then every time it showed the Chiefs fans, it would get like people would boo. Like
Oh, in
they
general. Oh,
they were
okay.
like yeah, but I mean also she did get an absurd amount of boos. It was really shocking.
Why do you think that is? As a
Just
football
because
fan and as an Eagles fan.
I don't know. I think like emotions were really high in there. Like
Boo.
I've never seen anything like that. Um But yeah, I think it's just because the like Phillies fans, like I said, they're brutal. They're passionate about their team, and Taylor Swift doesn't root for their team. So I think that like
I
they
thought that I'm
they
gonna be
also
honest. I thought
huh?
that was hilarious. I thought that was hilarious that they booed her. I thought it was
I
so
don't
funny
know.
because it's just like because it has nothing to do with her really. No one really like. Does
I
anyone
don't think
really
it
think?
has anything I don't think
Yeah.
it had anything to do with her at all either. Like, but I do feel bad for her in the sense I was actually talking to my coworker the other day and she still has like trauma from when she was on the Grammys and Kanye went up.
Oh, and it was
And
like,
people were booing him and she felt like everyone hated her, but she like didn't realize that they weren't booing her. That yeah, she thought they were booing her and not Kanye. It was like I guess so, she was like telling me like she has like this like post traumatic like thing with booing now and I'm like, "Oh man, like Philly,
you know what?
you
Like,
have
I'm
to do
not.
her like that."
I don't know if I feel bad for her, but that actually might be really sad to have 50,000 people just
Yeah, it was
like.
no, it was really crazy. It was really crazy. She was shocked, but it was a great game though. It was,
It was over by like halftime. I feel
yeah,
like
it was. It
I
was,
literally as soon as I saw the score going up, I just kept getting hammered, and by halftime, I was literally like out of it. So I was
it
like, all
was
right,
just a
like,
party for Philadelphia like the entire time. Like it brought a lot of people together, I'm not gonna lie. Like
what do you
it was
mean?
a really beautiful thing. Like just like everyone hugging each other and screaming and cheering and like the happiness that everybody was feeling was like it was beautiful. And I got to stand next to my cousin and um
What was the
my
halftime show
dad.
like? What was the halftime show like? I felt like on like it like I saw posts saying it was like the best halftime show. I saw posts saying it was like dead in the crowd, and I'm like I like was it like how was the crowd? You're making a face. I feel like I know it's not
No,
that
I mean,
good.
I was at that point, like, I love music, but
Mhm.
my emotions were like so high from the game. I was kind of like, I'm just ready for the game to be back on. It was really cool. Like, they did amazing.
Mhm.
SZA did
Let me
amazing.
check my notes.
Um, Kendrick did amazing. I think that it probably looked better on TV than it did in the stadium, though.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes
I
sense. That
Just
makes sense.
because like like there's cameras that are showing like up closes at like certain moments um and I was sitting like on the like sort of like behind like the Eagles field goal like way back but I think it was I don't know, I think the stage like wasn't facing us, if
Oh,
that
okay.
makes sense, so like it was
What about
kind
the
of like
crowd
better.
though? Was the crowd like hype or was the crowd like
Everyone was
quiet?
hype. My
Okay.
dad was
All
in the
right.
bathroom.
Yeah, he was like, let me just. He's like,
My dad
just sit
doesn't
down
care
there
about
for
the
15
halftime show.
minutes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't care about either. Until like I
Yeah,
saw,
he just he's
I'm like, all right. I guess we're just gonna make everything like something else now.
no, he's a diehard Eagles fan. He's like, I don't care about the halftime show. Like I just I
He's like, I
just
gotta go pee.
yeah, he went and peed during
Okay.
the halftime
All
show.
right. Well, moving over to your EP. So, how did you kind of like? So you said a lot of your songs are based upon the things you kind of go through.
Mhm.
So, do you think that like a few of those songs were specifically about people like you've known in your life, or like where's more situations that you've been in general, or like can you
It's a
point at
mix of both.
a mix of both?
It's a mix of both.
How many of them are about guys? You said the way you were like some of them about like if a guy makes me upset. I'm like, I don't. That's like that's so funny to me. I'm sorry. I don't mean it like funny,
Honestly,
but like.
no, I mean it's true. I mean, I, I'm an artist. Like I write about things that that like happen to me. Um, it's a mix of both. That's all I'm really gonna say. Like there's some songs. like I have a song called Weapons, for example, and
Mhm.
it's not about like a specific person. It was actually like I wrote it during um it was like metaphor week of school, and we had to write a song with a metaphor. And like I just like the idea of like your words are weapons, or like I don't know, like I just kind of liked the like the metaphor behind it, and then I like kind of like pictured a story behind it.
Oop,
Sometimes like
I
songs
think it's the
aren't
connection.
like
What's going on?
specific
Let's see.
people.
Can you hear me all right?
Um, yeah, it's fine. You were just frozen for a second.
Okay. All right. So
So
people, I
I was
heard
like,
weapons.
okay.
I'm locked in the combo. I just my connection's not as locked
No,
in.
I just noticed like you were frozen for a second, so I was like, do I keep talking? Um,
No, you can keep talking.
yeah, sometimes like I think for that song and some other songs in my EP, like I'll combine people. Like I'll take experiences from like what happened with one person and then make the message about what happened with another person, or like I just like kind of try to combine like relatable themes from things that I've went through. Um but then I also have songs that like I have this song called Too Late, which is about like it's not released yet, but it's basically like you're begging to come home after like kind of like failing your family and like making the wrong choices, and then like you're kind of faced with um asking to come home, being like, is it too late if I come home now? Like, did I like screw it up so much? Which wasn't based on something that happened with me. Like that, like I never got kicked out of my house. But like I was familiar with a story that where that actually happened, and when I heard this story, I was like I need to write about it, and that's what I did. So, yeah.
Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet. That's nice. Yeah, I've never been the creative type. I've never seen that, and I've never taken like something that's happened to me and been like, I'm gonna make something nice out of it, like physically nice. Like anything that's ever happened to me, like not nice. I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna go to like the gym or like
Um,
that's
but
that
that's
might
your
be it
outlet.
actually. Yeah,
That's your
yeah, yeah,
outlet. My
yeah.
outlet is like instantly like I need to go write a song about this person. I have to grieve for like 3 days and then move on about my life. At least like I have a song out of it. So that's
That's
kind of
good.
like
No, that's good.
how it happens. Like, or I'll like write a song for a friend if they're going through something, or like I'm trying to understand like how someone's thinking,
Mhm.
or like put myself in someone else's shoes. Like, for example, like I had a friend, and this song isn't on the EP, but like I had a friend who just kept like going back to somebody that wasn't treating them right, and they were always asking me advice about this person, and I was like, I think you can do better. Like, I don't think they're treating you very well. And they wouldn't listen to me, and they kept like folding and going back to this person. And I
Uh,
wrote a whole song from her perspective, like how she felt about this person, how this person isn't like treating her right, but she keeps folding.
that's hard to see someone go through. I'll say that. That's
It's
hard
hard
to
to see
see.
someone go through it. And I'm like, and I couldn't understand it. So I'm like, I have to write a song to physically put myself in her position to see like how I would feel.
You've never been in a position where like you've kind of interacted with someone that maybe isn't maybe I don't want to say deserving, but like that nice to you.
Oh, I have. I have.
I was
Like
gonna
fully been
say,
put in that position, but when you're seeing it from like another person's perspective, it's like a different story, and it's a different person and a different experience for them. That but like that's also like a thing about like my songs is I feel like they are like relatable. You can find like a story within that story, like make your own story for it. Sorry if that's confusing, but like
no, it's not
I wrote
confusing.
this song from like her perspective. But when I like listen to the song, I maybe think about like something that I went through with like another person, or it's
Yeah.
like her. Yeah, I don't know
No,
if
no,
this
I get what
making
you're saying. No,
myself right.
I can relate to what you're saying. I feel
Yeah.
like I've definitely heard music where in my life where I'm like, oh crap, like that really happened. I'm like, I can't
Mhm.
even I'll go. It's funny because like you'll listen to a song before you go through something, and then after you go through something, it's literally like sometimes it isn't even bad to be honest. Like it'll just be a funny thing. Um, nah, I don't care. I'll say it. I don't care. Never mind. I was gonna stop. No, I have like a funny story. Like there was like a Drake song or whatever, and he was like, um, whatever I got with the girl that used to babysit me. And like I found out that someone I knew like that or whatever literally babysat me as a kid. And like when
Wait, you got with your babysitter?
she was like 6 and I was like 6 months old, and like her mom and her were taking care of me. And then the only reason I found out was because my mom found out I was seeing this girl, and she was like, "Wait, what's her last name?" And I told her last name, and she's like, "I left you with her mom and her." And then I brought it up to the girl I was seeing at the time, and she was like, "You were that baby?"
Oh my God, crazy.
I know, right? I know, but like, so it's not all bad. But like, I was listening to that song. Actually, I was listening to it today. I can't lie, because like sometimes it's just funny to
Oh.
me. Of like, that's just like I mean, I
You're
make
like,
jokes
this is
about it all
my
the time.
song.
I'm like, should I send her this lyric? We haven't spoken in a while,
You
but
sh
I'm like, I didn't do it. No, I didn't. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. But
I don't know. I think that's really funny. And also, like, I wasn't expecting that level of relatability. Like, I was just like thinking, it's like, oh, you're like dating somebody and they're not treating you well, but like you're not seeing it and you need to get out of it. Not like I hooked up with my babysitter. Like, that's extremely specific.
that's really funny. Well,
But
to me,
that's
it's really
really
funny.
funny.
Yeah, I know. No, she did not find it funny though at the time. Because I
Um,
guess because you're like, when someone's that much older than you, they kind of feel like you're like,
so she's was 6 years older than you?
yeah, I think she's like probably 29 by now. I'm 23.
Oh, you're
So,
23.
yeah, yeah. Do I look younger or older?
I thought you were older because the way that you were talking to me, it felt like you already had like this whole experience like in New York and now like
No, that wasn't that. Yeah, no, no,
I
no.
imagine that like
That was a year-long
a
journey.
long time
No,
ago.
no, that was like I was living in Inwood like 6 months ago,
Okay.
and then I lived a year in Queens. Um, yeah. I have yeah. Mine was a long story too, but I feel like I got the real New York experience because I was working like a terrible like medical. Like, you need like medical experience to apply to physician assistant school. So
Mhm.
I went from making an okay amount of money like being a waiter to making absolutely no money being like a medical scribe or medical assistant. And then I had to commute to school and pay tolls, like because I brought my car up there and stuff like
Oh,
that. So it was like it was really bad, and I'm like, oh, this like really sucks. Like, but see, when that happened to me, like, because a couple things happened around that time too. I was like, I'm gonna run the Queens Marathon. Like, I need to do something. Like, so I ran the Queens Marathon, and I worked out a lot. That's literally like I was like, there was no like I'm gonna make something beautiful out of it. It was just like I guess I'm gonna run 15 miles today. Like,
that's funny. I mean, moving to New York, it's like a lot can happen in a short amount of time in New York. It's like you live like 5 lives in a year. So,
yeah, for sure.
like,
100%. You see like so much like stuff. I worked for this surgeon one time. He was an all right person, but like he also, I feel like he was not. I don't want to say fraud, but like it was weird because like we took care of like I translated a lot for people because we worked with people for like no fault insurance, like if they got hurt at work. And one
hmm.
time I was helping this lady out. She only spoke Spanish, and she tells me like that the lawyer for her no fault is saying that like she was going to loan her money so she can eat basically, and she was like the lawyer said he won't give me the money unless I take the surgery. I'm like, okay, he's not a doctor. I was like, he's not a doctor. And I'm like, and I talked to her and I'm like, am I hearing this right? I feel like that's not legal. And so I talked to the PA, and like he was like, yeah, like sometimes that happens. He was like, that's not even the worst things that happen around here, like with the between the lawyers and like it's so crazy the stuff you'll see. Like I knew a guy there that like he would just get an Uber to get his torn ACL looked at, and the Uber would cost $30. But because the lawyer booked it for him, he would be like, oh, I'm billing you as like the law firm basically, so it'd be like $200 for like a $30 Uber, and just stuff like that. And these people have no money and no recourse, so it's just
Yeah.
like, and they tell me these things, and because I speak Spanish, and I'm like, damn, bro, like I'm sorry, like I don't even know what they're like, what do I do? I'm like, I don't know, bro. I'm like I can't, like and so I feel like you see a lot of things like happen, and then I never was really big on going out when I lived in the city. Do you go out?
Sometimes.
Why'd you,
Sometimes I do. I mean,
why'd
not
you
as much as I
hesitate?
used to, but like, I definitely do. Like, I always prefer like a night in. I would.
You're lying.
I like a night in. I like a night in now. Like when I
Well,
first moved to New York, like I was going out a lot, especially like musicians too.
mhm,
But
yeah.
like we were like my friend group wasn't like we had this like really special group. Like our entire cohort was like very close and everyone was friends with each other. We would have like parties with everyone invited. We would go to everyone's gigs. We were all super close and we weren't like the type of musicians like a stereotypical musician that like like you're assuming like you're going wild and you're going out and playing these gigs and like you know what
What
I
was it? What was
mean.
it like? What was it like?
It was
Like,
like we would have like wholesome like hangouts at our house and like
oh,
watch
okay.
movies
That's not
and
going
have
out then.
little jam sessions. We also would go out, but we weren't going
Okay.
out to like clubs for the most part. We were
Oh,
going to like this place called Cellar Dog that only serves wine and beer, and there's pool and ping pong there, and then they play jazz music, and we would just go and play ping pong with each other.
oh,
Like,
okay. See,
it was so
that's fun.
fun.
That's fun. That's fun. What about music festivals? Do you like? I'm curious. You,
I don't really go to a lot of music festivals.
I don't either, and I don't like them. Do you? Why don't you go? Because I have a specific reason why I don't like them.
Um, I don't think I've ever been to one, actually. I don't think I've ever been to one. Oh wait, no, I did. I went to Made in America
Okay.
in Philly. That was the
Okay.
only music festival I've ever been to. Um, I don't know. I'd much rather just like go to a concert rather
Yeah.
than like be overstimulated by a whole bunch of music going on at once and it's hot out. That's I think the main thing is like I don't like really really hot weather
Yeah. Me
and
neither.
like
No.
being outside that long and everyone's like drinking and passing out on each other
That's what
and
I guess exactly why I don't like those things. I'm like, there's too many. I went to one when I was young, and I saw people doing more miscellaneous substances, and I'm like, I don't.
yeah, that's a
I,
common thing at music festivals and I'm not
yeah,
into that.
and I'm not a saint. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I drink, but like I'm like I feel like I can, you know, like I don't want to go see people do drugs. It's not a
Yeah,
crazy
no, I don't think
take.
anybody does except people who do drugs.
That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, no, yeah, no.
Yeah, no, but
So
I mean, to each their own. Like, I have friends who love
doing
to dress
drugs.
up and go to a music festival, and it's like they have the best time of their lives, and they're like, that's like their entire persona is they love to go to music festivals. I don't know. I like going out. I like going to like bars and just like sitting in a booth with my friends and talking is like
Oh
what I
yeah.
would prefer on a night out. Like, I don't really
Yeah.
like crowded crazy spaces where everyone's sweating and on top of each other. I've never really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's not the best. That's not where you genuinely meet the cream of the crop personalities of
Yeah, it's
people, I
not,
feel
I don't
like.
do that for my fun time. But
No, it's yeah. Yeah, that's funny. That's fun. No, yeah, no, I completely agree. I completely agree. So, when it comes to like rolling out your EP, do you have like a specific kind of, I guess, process of promotion, marketing, anything like that? Anything you kind of you've learned from other people to take from them and apply it to this
Yeah.
kind of release?
I definitely don't do it perfectly. Um, but for this release, like I just kind of decided to put out some of my songs as singles. I originally was just gonna like drop the entire thing, but I haven't released music since I graduated my undergrad in I think like 2022 was when I graduated my undergrad, and then I think 2021 was like the last year I had even put out music. So I had like no monthly listeners. Not a lot of people like were listening to my stuff. So I kind of wanted to like start just being more aware of what I was putting out. So I was gonna do like a rollout type of thing. So like put out a few songs as singles.
Mhm.
So I put I think Iridescent, my song Iridescent, I put out in the summer, and then I put Weapons out in October. And then I waited for like the holiday season to kind of tone down a little bit. Um then I put out Blame Me, and then drop I'm dropping like my EP about a month later, March 7th. And then for each song, I just like sometimes I'll just like make little short videos on my Instagram, or make little visualizer things that I'll put out on Instagram and TikTok. Um, and yeah, just like things that I like. Some people have more of like a strategy based type of thing that they do, and there definitely are ways that you can do that and be really successful. Right now, I'm kind of like experimenting with the
You're
whole
figuring it out. You're
thing.
figuring it
I'm
out.
still like figuring it out. I'm putting out like content that I think represents my music, and it represents it in the way that I want it to. Um, yeah, and I'm just trying to like keep everything in my EP like within a certain theme,
What would you say the theme is of your
aesthetic.
EP?
Um, so like the funny thing was my EP was originally supposed to be called In the Safety of My Room. And I was gonna call it that because all of my songs were written and produced in my bedroom. Um, because it's like my safe space. It's like where like I just let out how I'm feeling. But people aren't gonna know that unless like they know me, you know? So I that's why I decided to change the title to Blame Me. But right now my whole aesthetic is kind of, I still am trying to figure it out, but like I kind of am going for more like vintagey, like in my room vibes. So it's
Okay.
like a lot of my visualizers and stuff like are in my room. It's just not the title of it anymore. So I'm just kind of like trying to make the most use out of my bedroom. So just like
Like,
some
I mean,
visualizers are me playing the
yeah,
guitar in the room.
well, that's really relatable. I feel like, a lot of people can kind of be like, especially in New York City, like, I feel like it's very, the outside world is like, not, I don't want to say like icky or anything, but it's like,
Mhm.
there's a subway, there's the people that are sometimes not the nicest, and
Yeah.
then it's like you have the recluse of your room, of like,
Mhm.
and, if you're paying 1,600 a month for a room, you kind of want to spend some time in there.
Yeah, I don't know. It's also like just where I'm the most comfortable to like shoot content and stuff, and that's just kind of like it ended up being that aesthetic, like not even on purpose. It's like, um, yeah, like some of my visualizers are me just like playing the guitar like on my bed, or um, like I had a little photo shoot of me in my bathroom writing like with lipstick on my mirror.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that. I think I saw that.
Yeah, like all this stuff is just like cool, like kind of grainy in my room vibes, like, and it seems to work. It seems like for now,
Yeah.
like
No, I no, I
you can
yeah,
always like
I
change it, but I think for this EP and this type of music, it fits the vibe of the songs. So,
yeah. Do you think that's been kind of one of the bigger challenges so far, kind of forging your own path with something like apart from the music of it, kind of like the marketing, the connections, the booking gigs,
Yeah.
understanding, mastering all that. How do you kind of tackle those things? Pick whichever one, honestly.
Um, trying to think.
How about booking gigs?
Booking gigs. I just kind of do that for myself. Like I said, I don't have a manager. So, I'm lucky to have a lot of friends who play live a lot. So sometimes if there's a venue that one of my friends plays at that like I like like the venue, I'll reach out to them. Like I'll reach out to the venue. So like that's what I have been doing for the most part. Or sometimes venues reach out to you like through Instagram DMs, like because venues are always looking for artists to play. So sometimes like promoters or like bookers will reach out to me through like Instagram, and then I'll check out the venue, and if I like it, I'll agree to play. Or like I'll email the venues that I like to see if they would book me for a gig.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Is there
Mhm.
anyone like you kind of drew a lot of inspiration from specifically when you were younger in terms of music? Like any artist you found really, I guess, relatable or that you kind of emulated, but not like you weren't trying to emulate them, but like you kind of just happened, you kind of just took from them. Like everyone has people like that, you know?
Mhm. Trying to think. I listened to Taylor Swift growing up,
Hmm.
like every other girl. Um, but I think like her songs were relatable, like the structure of her songs were relatable, and it was something that I was doing also with my songs that I didn't realize I was doing. Um, and then when I went to college, I didn't start producing until I was probably like 19 or 20. And I basically self-taught myself. And I didn't really know exactly what I was doing. It was like really early beginning stages.
Hmm.
Um, so when I would listen to like artists, I really liked Gracie Abrams, Shy Martin. I listened to a lot of Charlotte Lawrence, Chelsea Cutler, Tate McRae. Um, all of these artists, like I really liked their songwriting and I really liked their productions. So when I first started like producing my songs, um, I would kind of gain inspiration from some of their like production techniques or like their like I would listen to their songs and try I'd be like, "Oh, I like how like they have a lot of piano in theirs," or how there's like a heavy sub bass in the chorus. And I would try to like kind of craft my own songs into like by taking inspiration from other productions that like I liked. Um and then I kind of found like my own like niche for it when I moved to New York, like my own process and like my own sounds and like what makes me unique compared to like other people. Um but yeah, like big influences for me, and the music that resonates with me a lot would probably be Gracie Abrams, and Chelsea Cutler is another one that I really like too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That definitely like taking from people that it's not like taking from them, but kind of drawing inspiration from someone that you
Mhm.
kind of listen to a lot, I feel like is very it's very common. That's why I was pretty like kind of I guess curious about it. Um
Yeah. I
but
mean, songwriting wise, it's like most of, like my songs, like for sure, like I grew up listening to Taylor Swift, but when I'm writing a song, like I'm not like I'm writing about like my story and things that are personal to me. So like, it's unique in that aspect. Like you're not writing about somebody else. You're not writing someone else's story. Um, Production was something like I really had to grow into as an artist to like find my own um
all those buttons in the studio.
production. What?
Said all those buttons in the studio. Like
Yeah, it's a lot.
what do you do when you're not kind of like do you have any hobbies like that you're when you're not working or kind of making music that you kind of focus on, like I don't know, like maybe like Yeah, I guess, yeah. Any hobbies? What do you do when you're not writing music or working?
I mean, just like hanging out with my friends, like going on walks, watching movies, um,
TikTok?
my TikTok, of course, my TikTok. Um, Trying to think what else. Yeah, I going out. I
Going
always
out?
like going out to dinner and getting drinks with my friends.
There's a
Going to
lot
my
of places
friend
to eat.
shows.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Do you kind of try to network when you're there and there's other kind of artists there or anything too?
Sometimes it just happens. Like, I never go out with like the full intention of being like, I want to go and make a producer friend and a songwriting friend. Like, I usually just go, and if I meet someone who I think is like dope, then like I'll talk to them. But it does happen sometimes, like at gigs, or like you'll go to a show and your friends will be there and they'll bring a friend who's in a band, and like it's a small world, like the music
Oh,
scene in
yeah.
New
Like
York.
everyone ever, do you think like everyone kind of knows everyone? Not in
Not
that like part of the
everybody,
city.
but like you'd be surprised. Like
You
you'd be
running into the same
surprised.
people?
Yeah, I had
Oh,
like this really odd experience one time. I like for my birthday, I was planning on going to one of my friend's shows, and about like a week before my birthday and my friend's show, I went on a date with this guy, and at the time, like I didn't really know that he was in like that he did music in the music scene, and he was like, "Oh, like I also make music, like I have a show next week." And I was like, "Oh, really? Like where?" It was this He was in the same lineup as one of my friends, like the friend's show that I was going to that next week
you're
on
like,
my
that's so
birthday.
crazy.
I didn't end up
Okay.
going, but like it's
Oh.
like crazy how small of like a world New York can be in general. It's like
I always hear like I was just at a comedy show in New York and I
at
like
where
the last a New York Comedy Club on Midtown, I think.
yeah.
Actually, it was like Monday I went. And all the comics were like absolutely shitting on New York City guys. What's been your experience with like New York City guys?
Eh, it's like I don't know, like nothing like super special. Like I moved here, like I haven't really met anyone here that I'm like dating or into. But I do have a lot of guy friends, but they're all like my producer friends, you know? So I haven't heard great things about the New York City dating scene. Like I haven't had the best of the best experience like with New York dating, and none of my friends have either. I don't really know what's up with that. Um,
What do you mean? What do you mean by not the best experiences? Like,
just like
there's
I've never like been on, but I mean, I don't want to just blame it on New York, but a lot of my friends feel the same way where it's like they'll go on dates, or like no one's really meeting anyone that they're interested in here.
like physically or also like even conversationally.
Just conversation wise, like I mean, and like physically, it's just like people
You're like
just are not. I
you're
don't
like
know. Like the New York dating scene, like it isn't great. Like I've never been on a date with anybody here that I'm like, ah, like this was like the best time ever. This was such a great like date. Like I walked away from a lot of them just being like,
where are you meeting these guys if you don't mind me asking? On
well,
Tinder or
like just out
Hinge?
like in the
Oh, okay.
bars, or
Oh, okay,
a lot
okay.
of my friends have Hinge too, or like dating apps. But dating apps are also like not great
They're
either. Haven't been
yeah,
great
they're
either. So
I
like I don't
mean,
really know. I'm just saying like New York in general.
I was Philadelphia's more is that more kind of your scene with that?
Mm, not really either. I don't
Oh,
know.
damn.
Maybe it's just me like as an artist.
Maybe
Because
you're like I
also
hate
like
it.
that is like something I don't know, like a lot of artists like are the same way where they're like thinking about like their music more than wanting to meet somebody else. And I think I don't know. Or also, like, for me, it's just because I am writing a lot of music about people. Sometimes it's nice to not always have like the best dating experiences ever because I use them as
It's your
inspiration.
muse.
I
It's your
use I
muse.
can easily use them as inspiration for a song. And also, for me, it doesn't always have to be like I could go out with somebody and it's just like it wasn't a great date, but like you can blow something out of proportion or like take something from it and like that just can inspire you into like a whole different like
Get the
type
wheels
of
turning.
song. Yeah, it doesn't have to be like the smallest things can inspire like a songwriter, like trust me.
What's inspired you that was like small that you were like, this is the premise?
Mm. Oh, I have a story. When I was in college, I was like kind of I think um and this song like not released out into the world anywhere like and anyway, I was hanging out with this guy. I think we hung out like two times. Literally just like talked. Like I
I feel
barely
like I
even
can
knew
see
this
where this is
guy.
going. I feel like I
I
can see where this
barely
is
even
going.
knew this guy. Come to find out, like obviously also like we're both single, completely single. So like I would be able to go on a date with somebody else at this time. He could like talk to whoever he wants. But then I was at a day party and I saw him at this day party talking to one of my friends in my sorority. So I was like, what? This is so crazy. Like, why are they talking? And I think like I saw like he was Snapchatting her at the time or whatever. And I was like, ah, I feel so betrayed. I was like, I feel so betrayed. I feel like he's cheating on me. I hung out with him like two times. Um, but that gave me an inspiration for a song, and I was like, um, I basically wrote a whole song about him cheating on me. And I hung out with him two times.
Just lie.
I was
That's not
like
even.
in the song, like I was like, what did I do to deserve this? Like can see you, like or like I can picture you guys in the back of um your car, her in like her little black dress. Like I can see all of this cheating going on. It was just like an inspiration though. Like it was like
It was
he
like a
was
made
just
up
talking about
scenario in
the
your
girls at the
head.
same time, like
It was a made
whatever.
up It was just like a made up. It was an extended made up scenario in your mind.
Yeah. And I was just like
Girls are pretty good at that. So that's.
yeah. Well, but for me, I think it was a great thing for me to be able to write that song because at the end of the day, it was like it allowed me, like writing this song allowed me to not like him anymore. Like blowing it out of proportion allowed me to just be like, he probably isn't really worth getting to know or like I don't know.
Okay, all right. I mean, I can see stuff
I
like
don't
that.
know.
To me, I feel like. I mean, I feel like for me specifically, I think that I tend to blow things under proportion. Like sometimes I'll tell
It's
people some
probably
stories
better.
or whatever. Yeah, I'll tell people some stories. They're like, dude, that's like it's kind of bad. I'm like, I don't know. It is what it is. Like everything, things happen to people. But
Hmm.
like, I don't know. I think like I do agree though that those kind of experiences, like more than anything, they can kind of teach you lessons. I think 100%
Yeah.
they can teach you lessons. Like I feel like I don't know if I'll tell them here, but like I could probably tell you a couple stories that like I feel like you and some of them I'm also not the hero of the story. So I'm not gonna sit here
Yeah.
and act like, I'm not I mean I don't think anyone's perfect, but like I'm just saying like I've definitely learned some things from mistakes I've made and at the same time I think I've learned some things from I mean, I guess mistakes other people made, whatever you want to call it, but like I think learning, like, kind of taking the lesson from it and kind of taking something of value from it is something that I think that's what you do as an adult. I feel like that. I don't like when people kind of get like, well, this, and that happened to me, and like, yeah, that threw me off for like a year or something crazy, like, or like they still do, like, they still, like, I guess kind of partake in it, and it's been like years, and I'm like, bro, like, what are you talking about? That was in like 2020. You're like talking about somebody. I'm like, what are you saying, bro?
Yeah. No, it's good to be like chill about things like that, I think, like rather than blowing them out of proportion. But also like for me, it's like I sound like freaking crazy for like writing that, but also like I would never release that song and I would never act like that's actually happened to me, you know? Like
No, no,
even if I share that
you gotta
song, I wouldn't
release
be
it.
like that, yeah, that guy like he cheated on me with my sorority sister. No, I would be like, oh, well, this is how it was inspired, but like that didn't happen. You got to be honest. You can't lie. Um,
Yeah.
it just, yeah, it's like little things. It's like fun to kind
No,
of
no, 100%,
see what you can
100%.
come up
I
with.
don't think you're. I didn't. I wasn't trying to say you were crazy. I
Oh,
wasn't
no,
trying to
I
say
know, but
that.
like I think if I was listening to this and I heard someone say that, like I just wanted to preface that I'm not freaking crazy for that.
Insane, insane.
I
I mean,
might.
no, you draw your sources. You draw your sources where you get them from. I feel like I've told on like the things I recorded and like put online. I've definitely said a lot of things that have happened and like I mean, I think I'm saying completely the truth, but if some maybe the other person on the other side of what my stories, they might be like, I didn't see it that way, even though I think they're pretty accurate. But like, you never know how things kind of sound. I mean, to me, I don't really, not like I don't care, but like I kind of try to be as honest as possible with certain things. Like again, like I don't sit here and say like even like obviously I'm not going to say certain stories, but I'm just saying like I'm not going to sit here and act like I said like I'm not the hero in every story I have learned a lesson from. But that doesn't mean like I don't know that I'm not going to be honest about it. Like it is what it is. Like I know plenty of people who like made mistakes or whatever like or whatever draw the, or maybe take inspiration from certain things, but for me the core thing of it was kind of like taking the valuable thing from either an experience that you maybe didn't make the best decision in or they didn't make the best decision in. I don't, but the bottom line, I don't think people will think you're crazy. A lot of
Okay.
people can relate to that, especially like these days.
Well, some people would listen to that song and actually, unfortunately, would relate to almost everything in it. Like you never know. For me, I just needed it in a sense to, I think like the main thing, like the thing that I was feeling in that song and the message of it was like, well, obviously this guy didn't like me enough if he's willing to talk to her. So like, what did I do to deserve this? Like anyway, like I'll just move on from you for that reason. I think that's like kind of like was like the preface of it. I was like, it wasn't great to see someone that you were kind of interested in talking to someone that you were friends with or no like knew, but you can like like manipulate the story a little bit for like it to fit into a song or like for a
Yeah,
certain
yeah.
idea.
No,
Like,
that's fine. As long as you're not doing it in real life, then I feel like it's
oh no,
fine.
I would never do that.
No, I'm
Not in
joking.
the
I'm
office.
joking. Whoa, what is your favorite song that you've written?
Hmm. I actually have a song coming out. Um, it still needs to get like mixed and mastered and everything. Um, and it's called Inside to Nowhere. I think that's probably one of my favorite ones, but it's like kind of a co-write, I guess. It was like it's based on a poem that one of my really good friends wrote. So, I was like going through something at the time that like I wasn't really admitting to myself, and we had this thing where like she writes poems and she'll like ask me what I think the meaning behind the poem is. And so she came up to me and she was like, Cass, I wrote this poem. I don't really know what it means though. Like, can you like read this and tell me what you think the meaning is behind this poem? And like, I started reading the poem and I was like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's exactly like this is what it's about.
Mhm.
And she was like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Yeah, 100%." And then I went up to her later and I was like, "Can I actually like use this poem as an inspiration for a song cuz it's so relatable?" And she's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, like I really like feel like I need to write a song about this." And I did write a song about it and it's one of my favorite songs I've ever written. And it like the whole poem was about me. And what I was going through, she wrote it for me.
That's sweet. That's
And
sweet.
I ended up writing a song about it. So I think like the lyrics in it, like the lyricism is great. And it's also like thanks to my friend who's like she's really great at poetry. So,
That's
um
nice that you have friends that kind of like. I mean, it's again. It sounds like the same kind of path, just a different kind of version of it with like poetry and stuff like that. That can kind of relate to the creative aspect of things.
yeah,
You know. But anyway, what? So your EP comes out the 7th, right?
March 7th,
Oh,
yeah.
March 7th. Okay. How long have you like been kind of sitting on that since like when's it? How long has it been ready? You said since like you graduated.
Yeah. So I had like all the songs like together after like that was kind of what I worked on like throughout the year of grad school. And then after I graduated, I kind of like went into some of the songs. I added a little bit more to them. And then I got them mixed and mastered. So that can take anywhere from like a few weeks to like maybe like a month to get those back. It's more like you just need to send your files to like an engineer and they'll do it. So, like about a year
About a year. Oh,
I've
okay.
been sitting on it. I didn't know I was going to release it until I graduated and I was like I think I should put it out. So then I started planning like my release and like the artwork, and it's just I've been just trying to like do like one thing at a time. So like I released one song and I was like, okay, now I'm ready for another, release the other one. Okay, release the other one. All right, let's just drop the EP. And then I have a lot of songs that are like sitting and like they're ready to like basically go. So I have some other songs that are like collaborations that like my friends produced. That they're gonna be out probably within like this year too.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. Do you like ever perform outside of Brooklyn? Where have you kind of been at? Where do you kind of like what kind of venues have you been to, I guess?
I'm trying to think. Honestly, I don't think I've performed in Manhattan yet. I've only performed in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay,
Um,
okay.
yeah. Uh, like house shows though too. Like I have some friends that'll have like house shows and I'll just like play for that. I think like my biggest priority right now has been just like releasing my songs and getting them out there rather than like the gig part is something I'm slowly like dipping my feet into. Like,
So what does that look like when you go to a gig? So you book it, what time do you usually go on? Like is like 'cause I know like places can stay open really late, but I don't know when people what time do you usually go on if there's like or a range of a time?
I mean, it always depends. My last show I went on at 7. The one before that I went on, I think it was like 10 because I had a show for my birthday. It was like my birthday gig, and I had two of my friends who are also like really talented artists, Leah Nowie and Aloe. They performed before me. So I was like the last person to go on. So I went on at 10. Al went on at, or maybe 6 or maybe it was 8. I don't know. We like went in order and I was the last one to go on and I think it was like 9 or 10 p.m. that I went on. So it was pretty late.
How long is your like show?
Like usually like an hour, 45 minutes sometimes.
And you did you run through like your whole like EP or like do you just pick like 3 or 4 songs like
No, it depends on the gig. Like sometimes like I like to play a lot of unreleased songs too.
okay.
Um I'll usually play a few from my EP, a few unreleased songs. I'll usually do like a cover or two cover songs um, that I like. Just like whatever fits the vibe. It also depends on like the type of set. Like if it's just me playing, I'll just try to like stick within a certain vibe. And then it's always different if you're playing with a band, which I've played with a band like one time. It's a very different vibe.
And so like after and you said you celebrate after, do you stay out like at that bar and just hang out with everybody?
Yeah, well, for my birthday show, We stayed after a little bit and hung out at the bar, and then we had a party at my apartment, which was really fun because it was just like my friends and then my roommate's friends. A lot of people just came and celebrated after. But after like a normal gig, like the last gig that I went to or that I had, um, I finished and then maybe hung out for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes with my friends at this bar, and then we went to another show because
Oh, okay.
my friend Leah had a friend who was playing that night too, and we were like, okay, may as well. So we went to a different show in Brooklyn.
Okay, dope. What's the pay like? Does it depend on how many tickets you guys
It
sell?
depends. It depends. There's usually like a deal with the venue. So sometimes like venues will be like first 10 tickets go to us, like the amount that people spend go to us, and then you make money after like the 10th person like comes. Like every
Okay.
ticket sold after the 10th person like goes towards you. So it really depends how many people come to your show. Um so obviously like the more people that come, the more money that you're going to make. There's also it depends, like I haven't done this, but I have friends who like will just get booked for like playing at a restaurant, and they have like a set cost, and then the person can like put up a sign for like tips
Oh, okay.
from like
All right.
customers and stuff.
All
So
right.
it really depends on the venue.
All right. That's yeah. No, that's cool because I know like when I was talking to someone else about this, they said like a similar kind of thing. Like that's why you kind of need, well, not need, but it's nice to have like a social media presence so you can kind of show
Yeah.
venues like, oh, like I can get people to come, like traffic and that kind of thing. So yeah, I guess like I mostly was just curious about that too. Um, but other than that, what kind of like oh crap, I was gonna ask you something specific. Hold on, my bad.
No, you're good.
What do you think is the biggest challenge you've faced since deciding to take this on? With everything that's kind of happened since you graduated undergrad or graduate school that you kind of something you overcame, whether it's self-doubt or something else or finances.
I think the big thing for me, which it might not be relatable to every artist,
Hmm.
but at least for me, um, I think is like the comparing aspect. Like at this point in my life, I'm at a very different spot, a much different spot than a lot of my friends that I grew up with. Because like I was really like one of the only artist friends that I had. Like when I went to, even when I was in like undergrad, I had a lot of friends who were like engineers or studying like in like a lot of different fields, and then straight after college, like they're already like they have their 9 to 5 jobs, like they have their steady like income, like they have their life together, you know. And as an artist, you're at a much different spot in life. So it's weird to like, come back to your hometown and you're meeting up with your friends and they're all talking about their jobs and like maybe like they're teaching or maybe they're like at a desk all day, or and then like you're talking about, oh well, I have this show and then I went to a gig and then I need to get my music out, and like it's you're at like just like the feeling of being at a different place than a lot of like your friends that are the same age was
Yeah.
like something that was harder for me to overcome, but it's just like part of the journey. And if you keep comparing, you're not going to get anywhere. Like, because if I continue to do that or like let that take up a bigger mental space, like then yeah, like I could quit everything and get a 9 to 5 job and try to be like all my friends from home. But like they're doing that for a reason because like that's their life and that's what they want to do, and they're on like a different path than I am. So I just kind of have to I don't know, roll with it. And also, like, I'm lucky, like I said, that I have a lot of friends who are in a similar boat.
Hmm.
Like, a lot of my friends
Hmm.
are artists here in New York. So, just talking to them about it and um, lifting each other up, pushing each other forward, not giving up together helps.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very interesting that you say that because I know a lot of people who actually they feel the same way. Even that kind of are trying to pursue a I guess more traditional path. I know people that graduated with a degree and now they don't really know what to do, and then they see someone that I guess at least knows what they want, and they feel like lost, and they feel like it's like they're here, and at least at this point in life someone else is here, and it can create some insecurities and stuff like that. And I think it's really important that you recognize that, again, that is part of like the thing. you know I feel like, at least to me, like for a long time I was like, oh, like, well, what are people gonna think, and like this and that, and then, like, I don't know, out of nowhere I was like, I really, like, I was like, I really don't really care too much of what most people think in general. I mean, there's only gonna be, like, if I spend all my time trying to live by someone else's standards, I'm gonna be miserable for the rest of my life. Like, for me, it really, like, doesn't matter if, like, I'm having this conversation with, like, someone on the subway or on the bus, or I'm having this conversation in front of 2 people or 10 people. Like, for me, I like having these kind of conversations, and I don't know. I think that again, comparison is the thief of joy. It was something that'll hold you back, and I know a lot of people, especially in our generation, kind of feel lost at the moment, even when they have their steady job. So I can only imagine when you're trying to kind of make something out of nothing, for lack of a better term. It's it can gnaw at you. It can be like this kind of seed. So I think it's important to kind of get it out in the open and acknowledge that it's part of the process. It's part of, I guess, kind of growing. I mean, like, even right now, like, I'm literally like ranting in my attic, like, you know. But I don't know. I always, like, I try to always see the upside in things. Like, I remember I was talking to my cousin about something, and I was like, oh, well, you know what? Like, no one's gonna see this. I can say whatever I want. Whereas, like, when I spoke to someone else, they were like, oh, like, they were like self conscious about the fact that no one was gonna see. He wanted to start a podcast too, and he was like, "Oh, no one's gonna see it. That's gonna make me feel bad." I'm like, bro, then you can say whatever you want. Like, not that I'm gonna say anything crazy, but I'm just saying, like, then there's no pressure. Then I feel like you're just having a conversation, and, like, it can kind of give you some freedom that a lot of people don't have these days. They feel like they have to conform to someone else's, beliefs, whether it's even like political or maybe social or fine, I don't know, whatever it is. Like, people feel like they have this kind of character they have to play, and I don't know. To me, that always seemed like something I never wanted to really do. Like, I feel like I usually get, not in fights or anything, but I tend to get into disagreements only when, like, I have to kind of, people want me to conform and be like, no, it's like this, and, like, I'm the one person in the room that's like, I don't agree with that, and I'm gonna, like, if you ask me, I'm gonna say something, but, like, I'm not gonna go out of my way and attack people. But no, I think that's really important to recognize.
No, it's true. It is true.
Did you ever want to be something else when you were younger, or it was always kind of like in the back of your mind?
I always wanted to like sing, and I always wanted to when I was little. That's like what I would think that I was gonna be when I grew up. Like when I was like in elementary school, like I was playing the piano and practicing my songs, and I was like, one day when I'm old enough, like this is what I'm gonna do. And then like I just wouldn't really do anything with it for like a long time. Like I just kind of continued to just play my music in my bedroom, and then, you hit like you're graduating college and you're like, "Oh, I should really go for this a little bit more than I've than I've been doing." But no, I thought I was going to be a dentist in high school. Um I did like administrative work When I was a little kid in elementary school, I said that I wanted to work at the grocery store.
That could
So
still happen.
that could still happen. That could
As like a side
definitely still
hustle,
happen.
not like as you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's pretty flexible, like as an artist. Like you just need a side hustle and like, yeah, maybe I'll go to the grocery stores. Who knows? But
Yeah, I don't know if it's the cynic in me, but I always like maybe I romanticize like certain things like that. But for me, like I remember like not that I have the hardest conditions in life, but I remember there was this one particular time when I was in Queens where parking's so expensive in the city, so I would take the bus and the 7 to my shitty job, and it was snowing, and like it was just such a bad day, and it was so cold. I never forget. It was so cold, and I was freezing, and the bus just never came. So I was
oh
standing out there for half an hour, and I'm just freezing, and I made no money, and I'm standing there. I'm like, one day, I'm gonna be able to tell like my son this like it's not all sunshine and rainbows, but like I
oh
don't know. I
no.
think that makes you a stronger person. I'm like at the same time, like I know I've been through certain things that like not like oh I'm so tough, but like I know I can do it. I know I can make no money, be alone, and be fine. And things worked out. Like I didn't die. I feel like people are also I don't know. People are a little dramatic. Like they're like
Viewers.
oh it's so hard. Like I'm like bro. Because I would do things like maybe so every now and then I'd start to feel bad for myself, but then I'd go buy groceries and I'd see a mom like with two little kids like trying to figure out like prices and stuff, and I'm like, why am I bitching? Like, why am I complaining? I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm fine. Like, oh no, like I don't get to eat the food I want. Is actually like I had to eat like spam and stuff like that. But like, I'm like, oh no, I have to do that. Like, who cares, bro? Like, things are fine. Like,
Mhm.
and it puts things in perspective. And I'd like to think it makes you stronger and kind of gives more than it takes from you. And also, it's just funny. Like when the bus just never came, I just started laughing. I'm
Well,
like, "There's no
everybody
way
has
this."
that story. Like it's living in New York. Like, and it could be worse. Like you're like complaining about walking to the subway when you see like a mother like and her stroller like pushing her kid like down the stairs or like like you see things like that. I'm like imagine like that would be way worse. I think like the other day I was walking to the subway and it's like about an hour commute to my job and you know the this was literally like a few days ago and the the subway that I normally took was closed so I had to walk to the L instead and it was like the wind was like 100 miles an hour. Like I turned a corner and I was already freezing cold, and then the wind out of nowhere is 100 miles an hour, and like I had to use like all my body weight to like push forward. And I was like cursing, I was screaming, like completely by myself. I was like, F this. Like this sucks. Like why is this my life? Why am I like, struggling to get to my hour job? It's like I'm about to get blown over by the wind. It's freezing cold. Everybody like, you break a little bit every once in a while, but
Yeah,
it's fine. I'm just
it's
I
how
just
you
tell myself I'm like
respond.
it'll be spring. Hopefully soon enough.
I always laugh those things off. I don't know if I'm like insane, but I'm always like, it's fun. Like whenever something like that would
Oh, like
happen
you
to me,
laugh?
not like ha ha, but I'm like, oh, that's fun. I just giggle. I'm like, that's hilarious. Like I remember like I paid like $25 a day for parking when I was making no money. I come out and my car's dinged. I'm double parked, blocked in, and I'm just waiting there. And the guy that double parked in front of my car is hammered inside the restaurant next to the restaurant next to the brothel. So I'm like, is this guy in the brothel in those like massage places, or is he in the restaurant? Because I'll go into the restaurant and tell him to come out. I'm not going
But
into
you're
the
not
fucking
going into the well.
brothel. I'm like, all right, so like, and then I eventually found him drunk in the restaurant, and then like
Wait,
I
how
noticed
did
my
you
car.
find him? How did
I
you
just
know he
went
was
in.
drunk?
I just went in and I was like, whose truck is that? Like, is there anyone whose truck that is? And the
Oh.
guy's just hammered. He's in Spanish. He's like, it's mine. And I was like, can you
Mhm.
move it, bro? Like, I want to get home. And he's like, I was like, you can take my spot. I don't even think he fit, but like, I literally was just like, and I knew my car was dinged, but it wasn't the guy because the car scratched, like, wasn't on, there was no scratches on his side that was parked, but my car was scratched. And I'm like, all right, like it wasn't this guy, the guy that probably hit my car. He's probably long gone. I'm just like, I'm in my car on the way home, like just in traffic, in standstill traffic. I'm like, this is, I just laughed. I don't know what else was
New
supposed
York.
to do.
It's New York, man. I swear.
At least he wasn't in the brothel. There's so many of those
That,
over there.
it could
It's
have been
so
worse.
crazy.
It could
It's
have
so
been worse.
crazy. Where I worked, I remember I got lunch at this chicken place, and I'd like, it's so funny. I'd have to walk past like two, like literally two, like workers, I guess. And
Mm.
like, it was just so crazy. Like, there was one guy, I had to pass one guy selling social security cards, and then another just like prostitute. I'm just like, I'm like, can I get my
Not the
chicken and
social security
broccoli?
cards.
He was like, "Do you need a social?" But in Spanish, I'm like, "Nah, I'm good, bro. I have a social
That's
security card."
crazy. I got my social security I got my wallet stolen.
Really?
Uh,
You got really?
yeah, and I had like started a job, so I brought, like you need the forms of identification. So I brought like my ID, my social security card, my house key was in there. I had some cash, my debit card. I was walking to the deli. It was like a 3-minute walk from my house, like right around the corner. And then I go to pay at the deli and I'm like, where's my wallet? It, I was like pickpocketed or it like fell out of my pocket or something. And like as I'm walking home, I just like, like you just have that gut feeling. I'm like, someone found it. It's someone's like, it's not going to be good.
You
But it
brought
had
your
everything
social.
in it.
Your social is, I don't know. Someone could just steal your identity. Someone could be
Oh,
living
I
out there
know.
as you right
I
now.
know. I know. And I freaked out. I had to
Did
call
you
the
call your dad,
police.
or
I
did you
did
call?
call my dad. I shouldn't have called my dad. I should not have
You're
called
like,
my parents.
like,
Like,
what's he gonna? It's like, what's he gonna do? He's like, I do
oh, they
something
were
to
just
help
screaming
me.
at me. It just made it worse. It just made it worse. And like my mom's like telling me to do things that I already did, or like it was awful. And then I check my bank account and it's like going down and down and down because this person was bought like $500 worth of alcohol at the store around the corner. And then I like had to call PNC, like froze my bank. Um, I, I I got it all figured out.
That was like that
This,
was as my cousin would say, I'm just a girl moment. I'm
yeah, I was
calling
telling
your
police
dad.
officers everything, and I was like, yeah, it had my house key, my ID, my social security,
What did
my
the
cash.
cops
They're like,
say?
oh no, huh?
What did the cops say? They were like, "You had your social in
They were,
there."
yeah, they were like, they looked at me, they're like, you're such a dumbass. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't say that, but like, I could tell by the way that they said, I was like, it'll never happen again. But I had to freeze my credit. I had to freeze like my PNC, like lock my card. I had to live off of cash for a few days. I had to make an appointment with the Social Security office. I had to order a new ID. Like it was a whole like get a new house key. It was a whole thing.
So you got pickpocketed
I
twice.
lost everything that I
Oh,
needed, basically.
oh, that's.
It
It's
was
hard to feel bad when you say it like that. It's hard to have sympathy. No, nothing ever like that happened to me. The most that happened to me was like when I first got to Queens where I was living. I went to go eat with my family, and I didn't know that like well I knew there were brothels, but I didn't know there were that many. And so I'm walking down, and like I'm on my phone, and I feel like a hand just grab me, and I'm like ready to like 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 I guess
square up.
combat, like fight. No,
Mhm.
literally, because someone grabbed me. I'm like, it's over. And then it's just some lady, and I guess she assumed I don't speak English. She was like, masaje, like in Spanish, and I'm like, I'm
Oh,
okay. She was like, and then she grabs me more forcefully. She's like, can you just come in, like, or something like that. And I'm like, bro, like, relax, like,
did
I'm
you say
like,
that actually?
I said relax.
Bro,
Yeah, I did say.
relax.
No, I said relax because it was like it was pretty hard. Like I'm not like
No,
she
you
was
don't
like
touch another person. Like you don't.
she was small, and so I'm like, and
But
I'm
it
not like
doesn't
a little
matter.
guy. No,
It
I'm just
doesn't
saying like
matter if it's a
she
man, if
pulled
it's
me.
a woman. You don't touch another person that you don't know ever.
I know she just like pulled, and then she pulled me so hard. I was like, yo, like, god damn. I'm like, but I was like, whatever. But I didn't know it was like that, like in like that, like encouraging. I guess. I don't know what to call it. I didn't know it was that like that extreme. I thought if you just walk by and don't say anything, like that'd be it. But that's probably my most like out there story with New York. I
I
guess.
have many. I have many. How long did you live here? Like a year?
So I lived in Flushing a year basically, and then in Inwood probably like 4 months. Yeah, like 4 months because I lived there for the fall semester. I just graduated the end of December, like
From where?
literally from Lehman, in the
Is that
Bronx.
like in the city in Manhattan?
No, it's like maybe from like where I live, like a 10-minute drive, like if that, maybe like 5 minutes when there's no traffic. It was really close. Sometimes I take the bus there.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it wasn't like again, Lehman is Lehman. Like I'm not gonna talk bad, but like I'll say it like this: like I'd get emails from like the security office, like, "Hey, like someone got mugged right outside the gate." Like, watch that gate. And the funniest part was one time, like it was like they sent out an alert and a description of the guy came out, and it was like very similar to me. It was like a
Oh.
5'10" Hispanic male, and I'm like, I really hope they don't like think it's me.
Oh no. But also that's just like
That's so funny.
so many people have that description. Like I think you're safe.
No, it was just funny because I was like the southwest gate. I'm like, that's where I am right now because I was opening my email as I was going in and
Oh.
leaving or
You're like
something like
looking
that.
around like, oh shit.
I'm like, is that me? But anyway, yeah, I lived there for a bit. I don't know if I'd do it again because, like, I mean, as far as that goes, like for me, I feel like I'll go to PA school wherever, and then I'll try to keep doing this. Like, I really like talking to people and stuff like that. But yeah.
Mhm.
But what about you? Do you see yourself like, if things start going in the direction you want them to go, would you see yourself living in the city or like maybe another city?
I've thought about it. I do like Manhattan.
Mhm.
Um, I lived in Manhattan for about a year and then I moved to Brooklyn. Um, and I like Brooklyn. It's a different vibe than Manhattan. I think if anything, I'll probably be good here for like a little bit longer. Maybe move back into Manhattan or like another city that like I would think to maybe move to would be like Nashville. Um, Not really sure about LA, but like when it comes to like people that I know, most of the people that I know are either in LA or they're here. So I don't really know anybody in Nashville. I would have to have like a really good connection to even like consider going out there probably. But
For the next year or so, you're kind of just focusing on the EP and then putting out the
yeah,
rest of your unreleased songs, right?
yeah,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
my focus.
Well, that I feel like that's a pretty solid kind of path to go down. But anyway, I think we can wrap it there. But it was really nice kind of talking and getting to know you. So,
Okay.
okay, Blame Me EP coming out March 7th on Spotify.
Yes.
This video is intended for entertainment and satirical purposes only. The content shared in this video represents personal opinions and humors and is not meant to be taken as professional advice or guidance. This channel and its creators are not affiliated with any professional or educational institution. Viewer discretion is advised, and any resemblance to real events or persons is purely coincidental.